U.S. President Joe Biden is set to host his Afghan counterpart Ashraf Ghani at the White House later today. The two are meeting as U.S. troops withdraw from Afghanistan, leaving a power vacuum which the Taliban is preparing to fill. Biden has previously promised billions of dollars in security assistance for Afghanistan. But as Taliban forces gain ground, it's not clear if that will be enough to hold them back.
Searching for anything they can salvage, scrap merchants pick through what's left of a former US airbase at Bagram, once the nerve centre for operations in Afghanistan. This is what remains here after America's longest overseas war. In the north, the Taliban is on the advance, steadily gaining territory, taking district after district. The UN is sounding the alarm.
Most districts that have been taken surround provincial capitals, suggesting that the Taliban are positioning themselves to try and take these capitals once foreign forces are fully withdrawn.
It's the calm before the storm here in the provincial capital of Kunduz. Residents can only wait as the front line draws closer. Afghan security forces seem powerless to stop the advance. In Kabul, former militiamen, men who fought against the Taliban decades ago, are now returning to arms to bolster the defence.
We've gathered here to defend the Republic, freedom of speech and the independence of Afghanistan. If the Taliban want peace, we will make peace with them. But if they want to fight, we are ready for them, and we will defend our land.
Emboldened by the US withdrawal, this Taliban commander is confident of victory.
We have defeated the Americans. The Afghan government is a slave administration. When the Americans leave, it won't last 5 days.
More than half of all US troops have already left the country. The rest will follow by September the 11th. More work for Afghanistan's scrap merchants.
Let's bring in journalist Ali Latifi, who has the view from Kabul. Ali, as we've been seeing there, the Taliban making quick gains in the past days. How high is the fear right now that they could return to power and the government could potentially collapse as foreign troops withdraw?
There's definitely a fear. We have been seeing them, take different districts. But, what we have to keep in mind is that it's sort of like a hyper version of what's been going on over the last, several years, where the Taliban will take a district and then fairly soon after lose it. Keeping a district has proven very difficult for them. And this is exactly what's happening. Over the last week, we keep getting reports of, this district has fallen. And then a few days later, you get a report that the government has retaken that district. But what this really shows is that it's sort of like the Taliban's way of trying to tire out the government, right? Like constantly taking everything into overdrive, saying, trying to create little fires everywhere and have them try and put them out all at once. For the Taliban, it's not so difficult because they can always get assistance from Iran, from Pakistan, from other places, and they can always get new people to join in their fight. But for the government, it's very difficult, to train and recruit and bring in new soldiers all the time. So this really seems to be the Taliban tactic at this point.
And to your point, about how difficult that recruitment is for the government launched this week what it calls the National Mobilization, which is arming local volunteers. I'd like to ask you, is that really the best hope now going forward? What does it say about the state of security forces in Afghanistan right now?
So it's really interesting because, yesterday I was with a bunch of, young people, 5, 6 of us, all of us in our 20s and our 30s and whatnot. And we were specifically talking about this. And, some people were saying it's great, it's localizing security, it's giving people who had felt left out by the Kabul government in the past a chance to take up arms and to take matters into their own hands. And then there are others that, really fear that, okay, that's fine. This has been done before. It's something that's been happening over the years in different parts of the country. It's just being promoted now. But the question is, once the war ends, right? Once, let's say, you get rid of the Taliban or you minimize them, how do you make sure that we don't end up back in 1992 where there's a civil war, right? Where the different groups and different ethnicities start fighting against each other, and Kabul or possibly any other city starts getting ghettoized, and just rockets flying and bullets flying everywhere from these different forces. That's really the fear. And then the other comment that people kept making, which is actually really prescient, is that where are all these weapons all of a sudden coming from? Because for years, the Afghan National Security Forces have been begging for more weapons. I've been in provinces, I've talked to soldiers, I've talked to police who said they didn't even have walkie-talkies, or who, when we were asking for weapons, only half or a certain percentage of them worked properly. So where were all these weapons before, and why weren't they being sent to the security forces before? So there's a lot of questions around this.
Ali Latifi with the view from Kabul. Thank you.
Thank you.